into the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey AfterBuzzers, welcome to the finale of Astronauts Wives Club. We've had 10 amazing episodes, and tonight we finally got down to the business.
They got to the moon in 10 episodes.
The Eagle has landed tonight.
Look at that. We got all the way to the moon.
Crazy.
I can't get to work on time, but they got to the moon in 10 episodes.
Goals,
That's impressive.
Right?
Goals. Hashtag goals. Moon.
Hey guys, I'm your host, April Wissenhand. As always, you can find us all at AfterBuzz TV. Like, share, comment. We've loved reading your comments all season. Tweet us your thoughts about the finale. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at April Wissenhand. Where can you find my lovely co-host?
What's up, guys? Khalil Boo Boo here. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Khalil Boo Boo.
I'm gonna miss doing that so much.
You know.
I like imitating Khalil on his
We all do imitations of each other. We've got and then we do imitations of the guys on the show.
Exactly. Khalil has a killer Louise impression that he's going to share with us at the end of the episode.
Oh, I didn't know. I was ready now.
At the end, so I'm sorry. Tonight's episode, of course, like the past few have had us feeling a lot.
Yeah.
Khalil teared up again. I remain solid as a rock. Just kidding.
It's good to be emotional, all right? Guys, don't be afraid to be out here and be emotional.
But really, though,
okay.
Tonight's was so we know that this is just going to be one season, and to know that this stuff really happened and to hear like the culmination of all the stories was really good, I thought.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So we opened tonight's episode, and they're working on a documentary, and it's the reporter, Max. Oh, it just came to me. The whole episode, I'm like, what is his name? Max. Max is back, and he is doing the documentary. And
he looks very creepy. That mustache. It's not working, buddy.
He turned around, I'm like, where did you get those handlebars from?
It was hideous.
I didn't know San Francisco did that to you, but apparently it does. So Max looks a lot different.
He's got the porn stash.
Yeah. Oh, there you go, the porn stash. But so he's doing the documentary. Louise, of course, is like all flustered when she sees him. But he
makes her excited.
Oh yeah, yes he does.
Go ahead, Playboy.
It's each of the women kind of saying how they felt at the beginning of when the space program first started, and when the Mercury 7 first came together. And Trudy, in full astronaut wife fashion, she's like, "It's great. I'm so happy." And they're like, "This is a documentary. It's supposed to be real." And then everyone kind of tells what they've been up to. Trudy says Gordo's next in line for Apollo 13, which we know goes down a little differently ultimately. Marge says,
Sorry, Trude.
I know, and she was so looking forward to it.
She's so gun-ho for it. I feel bad.
I know.
Sorry, Trude.
Sorry, girl. Marge is talking about how she kind of leads the women. Deke leads the men. Of course, we've seen that. Annie, big shock for me tonight. She said she's been working at this place called the Hollins Institute, and they've kind of transformed her speech and have really been working on her speech impediment.
And it shows. And the special hats off to the actress who plays her, because you could see she progressed, but it was still there, and at the same time, and I feel like that's a very tough gray area to try to tackle, and she killed it.
Well, there was a little while where, I thought at the beginning of the show maybe the actress herself actually had somewhat of a stutter. Well, because she played it so well. She really did. So I mean, kudos to her. And I didn't know that happened in real life. I didn't know that Annie once had that and then it got better. So that was kind of neat to learn for me. Joe and Wally are exploring opportunities of their own. Betty, sweet Betty, just talks about how she's always thinking about Gus and she misses him so much.
It's so sad.
And probably biggest shocker for me was we find out, Alan's been cleared to fly.
Yeah.
He's hoping to get on Apollo 13.
Yeah.
So his
Alan, boy, never give
Meniere's
up.
disease was healed, so the surgery was worth it.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? That was last week, right?
Last week.
So surgery was successful. Alan lived, thankfully.
Yeah, go ahead, Alan.
Yeah.
That's determination. That's what does it.
You said for him to do it. You said he should do it, right?
Yeah. When you're determined, boy, nobody's gonna stop you.
Imagine if you
You
didn't.
can go to the moon. You're determined.
Khalil and I are taking a few trips to the moon soon.
Yes.
So yeah, everyone's kind of been doing exactly what we thought they'd been doing, except Alan's being healed. So the next thing that's up is Apollo 11, and this is the first ship that's going to actually go and land on the moon, which is crazy. No one's done it. First thing we're going to do, we all know, or I hope we all know from elementary school history, that Neil Armstrong, first man to walk onto the moon. I told Khalil while we were watching, I'm like, his poor little, the poor other guys who were in the rocket with him, because he just happened to be like, I'm first in line, first out the door. And he gets all the credit forever. And then poor little Buzz Aldrin behind him's like, hey, I'm here too. Yeah.
Sorry. No, don't care. Sorry.
A big thing before that happened, though, so none of the women have been able the entire season to go to the launches, even though it's been their husbands going up into space. They've always had to watch from a hotel or from their home or something. And at this one in Cocoa Beach, they actually got to go to the Apollo 11 launch. So that was a huge thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
And major things happening for some of these people at this launch. A lady comes up to Trudy, and we're finally seeing her get an opportunity that she hasn't had. We've been talking about her really, coming into her own, and we thought she was kind of doing that with Gordo, but
flying and with her plane and so
So this lady is a member of some kind of business. They want to put money into Trudy's courier business. Basically, this would take her from, flying around her friends every now and then to a legitimate, real business. And this is what she's wanted for so long. She wants to be a pilot. So that's some huge news for her.
She should have pounced on it.
I know, right?
She should have, as soon as she said it, let's do it. We can leave this and we can go talk about it. Set it up right now.
Right now.
She should have pounced on it. Come on, Trudy.
Alan meets his hero, Charles Lindbergh, which is huge. We all know Charles Lindbergh. Reen is being Reen and just chatting around. Johnny Carson said he loves Reen, and, all great stuff for them.
Great for Reen.
Yeah. So
I'm not happy with Reen.
I'm so not happy with Reen.
I'm not happy with her. I understand ambition and going after what you want, but she had a husband.
And
she
4 kids.
She had a life.
I know. But men do it all the time.
Well, hey.
Reminds me of a country song. Guys do it all the time.
Hey, we're not perfect either.
Yeah. I know I'm not happy with her either, though, because it just seemed like, I know that, but then we could also look at Scott and say, this dream was that important to her. How could you not just go with her? He could have given up something of his to go with her.
That scuba diving shit he was doing, he could have given that up, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That, like sea exploration doesn't,
True.
We don't need to explore the sea.
Yeah, we live here. Let's go into space.
Yeah, right? Makes perfect sense. But no, I agree. It just seemed like, I don't know how it happened in real life, but the impression is given off that the kids are still with Scott.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you're their mama. Like what?
Your mama.
What are you doing?
I feel like, I hate to say this, and I'm a guy, but I feel like moms are so much more important than dads.
I will agree with that. Don't get me wrong, I love my daddy, but I'm like.
So it's like, you're the mom.
Yeah.
You have to be there.
Well, there's a reason like that. You automatically think when something happens, the kids go to the mother because it's the
Where's
mom.
Mom?
Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, that kind of makes me sad because I felt like her and Scott were just one of those real couples, but apparently they were not meant to be. But they are all at a little party after the launch. Everything's successful. We have landed on the moon. The Eagle has landed. The whole one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Do you think he prepared that statement?
I think so.
Like, was he like, what am I gonna say?
He probably had like a list, like, and then he was probably just chilling in the shuttle of the space rocket and just being like, one small step for man, one big step. No, not big.
What is a synonym for big? I feel like
guys,
he would have been like,
is there a thesaurus up here?
But how do you think that they picked who got off the steps first? Like, they drew straws? Were they like,
rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah. I mean, really, how do you decide? Ooh,
I don't know.
I kind of want to Google that.
Maybe he was the first one who was dressed. Maybe they were all just like out
I bet
chilling.
he was like the commander of that. And you remember how at the beginning they said, Trudy was like, Gordo is up next for Apollo 13. You know, we thought he would be on Apollo 11, but whatever. But he should be the commander. So maybe Neil Armstrong was just the commander.
Maybe.
The commander gets to go
I feel
first.
like that's definitely something you have to talk about before you get on the rocket.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be in the rocket and the three of us are like fighting, like trying to get out of the door.
What's that movie where they're like, you brought, Armageddon. Where the guy has a gun. He's like, why do you need a gun in space? That could have gone down crazy. Anyway, we're getting on it. I'm going off. I'm sorry. So they are at this little party, and we see Reen and Scott. They're dancing together because, of course, Scott would come back in town for this. And Scott tells Reen that he's been seeing another woman.
Good for you, Scott.
I know.
Good for you.
You deserve it.
You deserve it, buddy.
Because it's been, and Reen's like, well, I understand. It's been months. And I'm like, fight for your man, girl. But she just seems to not want him anymore. She
looked all upset, though, like flustered when he said it. And I was like, well, what'd you think was going to happen?
Yeah, of course she did. But, I mean, that's her own fault.
Sorry, Reen.
Yeah. There's a special moment with Marge and Deke and Betty at the table that I loved. Do you remember the pin that Gus had gotten for Deke because he couldn't go up on the moon? He said that he had asked Neil to take that up and then brought it back down, and then said that Neil took Gus's patch and left it on the moon. But I guess you can't really leave something on the moon. Now that I'm thinking, I mean, well, the American flag, they did it, but yeah, I guess so. If they
bring some tape with
some moon tape.
Who would go to the moon without tape?
Where do you find moon? How do you know what sticks to the moon?
I guess you should bring glue and tape and see which one
moon
works best.
Glue and moon tape. Have you ever had moon food?
No.
I have.
We talked about it.
Astronaut food.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, in the third grade.
You gotta find me some.
Oh yeah, it's really good. Actually, it's pretty gross, but.
Do you think we really landed on the moon?
Oh,
are you a conspiracy theorist?
I was telling Khalil while we were watching because there's a famous image of the American flag being on the moon, and I watched a MythBusters because in the image it shows the American flag flaving. I just said American wag flaving. American flag.
When you said the moon, the flag in the moon, it made me think of the MTV award.
Oh yeah.
Let me think of that.
The Moon Man. But it said that, so it gives the impression, obviously, since the flag is waving, that the wind is blowing. But we all know there's no wind in space. I watched a MythBusters.
Okay.
Well, I mean, there's no wind in space. We know that more than we know about the moon.
But
we know
like
there's
stuff
no air.
moves. So like, how is it moving without
gravity?
Wind?
I think there's a little thing called gravity. But
it floats though. Stuff floats. Definitely floats. Can we say floats?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe the
but floating doesn't create wind.
No. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I watched a MythBusters episode about it once.
There you go.
So Louise and Max share a little dance. They have a little moment. We find out he's married, by the way, later in the episode, I think, to some producer who's his boss.
Somebody wifed that porn stash.
Oh,
when you get comfortable, you just let it grow. You let it hang. You let it.
Like, I'm just gonna let this grow out, baby. What you think? What if women did that? Like, some women can grow a porn stash.
I know.
Not me, but some women can. A big thing that was happening.
You threw that in there real quick. Not me. Not me.
I mean, I used to, but I got that fixed.
AfterBuzzers, I cannot. I repeat, I cannot grow a porn stash.
That's cool, little Spanky,
April
by the
Winston
way.
hat.
Signed April Winston.
Signed April Winston hat.
Close. You almost said my last name right.
I did. Okay, go ahead.
Winston hat. You said Winston hat.
It was because I was laughing. It
Oh,
sounded
okay, yeah,
weird.
sure. That's what you
There
said. Something big that was happening while this whole party is going on is a protest. We see earlier in the episode, our girl Dana's back.
Hey, Dana
Hey,
Boo.
Dana, we miss you. Her character is back, and her son says he doesn't want to watch the launch. Oh, that was a big thing. Like, everyone on TV obviously watching the Apollo 11 launch. And he says he doesn't want to watch it. It's just a bunch of Nixon propaganda, and, you know, it's not for him. No one like him is ever going to go to space or be a part of it. So at this, you know, super fancy celebration party, him and a bunch of his buddies from Berkeley drove down, and they're protesting. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but they were chanting, like, Whitey's on the moon, because they were basically, what they were saying is that there are, you know, all of this money is being
Whitey's
spent.
on the moon. It's pretty straightforward.
I mean, it was kind of catchy, but basically what they're saying is that there are all these people down here on Earth that are having all of these struggles, but we're spending all the taxpayer money on some fancy party to celebrate these people who pat themselves on the back because they do all of these great things. But, you know, what about the people who have these real issues? And Annie, little sweetheart that she is, you know, kind of hears the commotion and goes out.
Outside.
And of course, you know, it was a very like heated kind of political riot. It wasn't a riot at the time. It was just a protest. But, you know, the police officers get in, stuff gets crazy. Xavier, he's in college, so I guess he's probably, you know, 18, 19 at least at this point. And we see someone, you know, start hitting him with a stick because they thought that he was doing something.
Hitting him with
the policeman, not just someone. The
Not just
policeman
someone.
hitting him with the stick. And Annie grabs him. And she's like, how are you even a part of this? You know, these aren't the kind of people you want to mix with, meaning like people that would do that kind of thing. And he says, he's like, what? I drove the bus. What are you talking about? And, you know, he at the time, John,
Hashtag I drove the bus.
I drove the bus. Annie, what you talking about?
I drove the bus. I want to start saying that.
At the time, John is running for Senate. We even see him at the dinner kind of going around talking to people, and Annie says, I'm gonna let you do your thing. And so she pulls him inside and says, you know, like, what is all of this? You know, this is important stuff. Going to space is for everyone, not just a group of people. And he kind of says his whole spiel about how, you know, all of this is happening. All of these people are doing this, but we're just out here with real problems, and no one wants to focus on that. Instead, they want to spend all of this money on this fancy party. And it looks like it makes Annie think. And I hope that, I mean, I don't know what John Glenn's, you know, kind of political
Views were
back at that point, but I kind of hope she,
like, hey, baby,
yeah.
you know, some people struggling over
We
here.
see her later in the episode. They're talking about how he can like get up his numbers in certain districts, and she says, well, why don't we listen to what the people want instead of telling them something?
He should just go somewhere like to the district that he's having problems with.
Yeah.
With a T-shirt that says "Whitey's on the moon." Boom.
Right
Whitey's
there.
on the moon. That would have been like, they would have saw that and be like, okay, what you got to say? Go ahead. I'm
What's
listening.
up?
I'm listening.
But he didn't want to use his him being an astronaut as kind of a political move, so he
Yeah.
couldn't have done that.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been a bad move. Whitey's on the moon. So then the man behind Mission Control comes up, makes a little speech at this dinner, says, you know, everything we've done has been worth it because we finally made it to the moon. As they pan to little old Betty sitting in the crowd, and she's like, everything's been worth it. What the heck? And for me, I think that's probably the moment that it clicked in her mind. Like, everything hasn't been worth it. My husband's dead. And she even, later in the episode, she talks about her sons being gone. So they're probably just like at college or something like that.
Yeah.
So next we are coming up on Apollo 13. Most people, I am crazy and I haven't seen the movie Apollo 13.
I haven't seen it either. You're not alone.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
That makes me feel better.
Sorry, viewers.
But like we said earlier, Trudy, everyone thought that Gordo was next in line to be the commander of Apollo 13. Well, it turns Gordo's not. he's gone off the deep end, but he comes home, and this is like unbeknownst to Trudy. He walks in and is really upset and just says, I'm not on 13. And then they go to Alan and Louise, and Alan has been appointed to be on Apollo 13.
The first thing I thought was, and she gave up her opportunity thingy for you to be on this damn rocket.
Well, she didn't know at this
point. You're not on the damn rocket. She should have called that girl up right then and there and been like, hey, how you doing, boo?
But she didn't know. She thought he was still like kind of just being skipped over at this point. She didn't know what was really going on.
Yeah.
And we didn't either, but so Trudy takes it upon herself to go to Alan and Louise's apartment. And Deke is there, and she's like, of course you would be here. Just because you're best friends doesn't mean Alan gets to go. Mm-hmm. And they tell him, they're like, no, it's Gordo's fault, basically. You know, he's gotten so into this, like, car racing and treasure hunting or something like that.
I'm going to go treasure hunting. That sounds fun.
I know.
Why didn't they cover that?
I know.
What kind of treasure was he hunting for?
I don't know. I just rewatched National Treasure the other day. They're actually really good movies, so whatever. And this is a surprise to Trudy because, you know, she's been thinking Gordo's working hard. Obviously, she knows he has hobbies, but she's dedicated the entire, like, past 10 years of her life just to this man making it to the moon.
She's got that Disney predisposition.
Yeah, but then to find out that he just has kind of been throwing it away himself, Deke says that he lost focus and that it's his own fault. And so I love that she, like, goes home and he's there working on his race car. I didn't even know that he was racing cars.
I didn't know that either.
But I guess they can't tell us everything, obviously.
10 episodes. We got to go to the moon, guys.
Yeah. We can't cover that.
Right.
And she says to him, please tell me that this hasn't been just my goal, that it's been your goal. Because he's the one who begged for her to get back with him because they just had to stay married for him to get to the moon. And he's the one who, you know, asked her to give up these opportunities. Whenever they were filming a segment for the documentary, and she's like, okay, can we cut? And she tells them about the lady who approached her about the business, and he's like, no, Apollo 13's up next. So she actually calls the lady and turns it down, and then, like, literally 5 seconds later is when she finds out that he's not even on Apollo 13.
Damn it, Trudy.
But I like that she at first, like, stood by her man. She's like, what?
That was cute, but...
Yeah. But then she's like, oh, wait, Gordo's kind of a slacker.
All right.
How can you go from being an astronaut to being a slacker?
Well, like we said, after you've been to space, what else is there?
I guess race car driving and treasure hunting.
Okay.
If I had to say. So Gordo is not off the wagon, not like drinking, but he's out. He's kind of out of the space. He's not out of the space program, but he's not in the running for anything. And it's just sad that Trudy had to come to that realization. Meanwhile, while they're prepping for Apollo 13, Reen is, you know, still working on all of her reporting stuff. I guess she has a job on a local station. She thinks she's going to be talking about important women's issues, but then they tell her she's going to be talking about a pineapple cake, which she's not happy about, of course.
I wouldn't have been happy about that either.
No, but I love pineapple cake, so it would have been fun to eat. But... you know.
Now you just made me hungry.
I'm sorry. Popcorn. So she goes on to film the segment. I loved this part. So this kind of redeemed Reen a little bit in my mind.
Yeah,
she goes on there and she starts to talk about this pineapple cake that she's supposed to, like, go through the motions of making. And then she's like, you know what? As a single lady getting out and about in the dating world, we don't have time for this. Go to the store and pick something up. And then she pops out.
Let's talk about the diaphragm.
I'm like, can we do this on TV?
I loved it. I was like, so that's how it works.
Did you know what that was? So Reen brings out this old school diaphragm.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
No.
And then it says, like, oh, this is how it works. And she plucks an egg into the diaphragm. And meanwhile, everyone behind the camera is freaking out. So I love that part.
I thought it was pretty cool. That's what for things like that is why we originally loved Reen.
Exactly. But then she had to, you know, just
leave her.
Whatever.
I don't know. I'm telling her to stay, and then I'm telling Trudy to go. It's weird. Okay, go ahead.
Such a double standard. What are we doing here? So that's kind of all that happens in between. I mean, maybe a few other, like, little random things. Not really much, though. But then it's time for Apollo 13, and we find out that NASA has overridden Deke's decision to put Alan on Apollo 13, and Alan is out. and no Mercury 7 men are actually on Apollo 13. I forget, it's like Levitt and Chaffee. I forget a few of their names.
Yeah, but you gotta spread the wealth. You know, you guys were the first to go into space. It was cool. You got some, what do they call it, Cape cookies. Got some Cape cookies out of it. You know, now it's time to spread the wealth, guys. Plus, you're married.
Right.
We got some single guys going up to space now. They deserve the Cape cookies way more than you do.
They know how to do it.
You know.
And Alan hasn't flown since 1961. The first man in space.
When he said that, I was like, "How old are you right now?"
I know. I'm like,
you ain't flown since 1961. Hell, you talking about? You ain't seen a space since
amazing.
1961.
And you want to go up right now?
You want to go up right now?
He did. Well, he didn't, but he wanted to.
Yeah.
So Apollo 13 goes into space. Everybody's watching. They think it's kind of crazy how people were so into it at one point. Like everyone watched every part of the broadcast, and now it's kind of like, oh, they launched. Okay, we'll see you in 72 hours when they've exited the lunar orbit or whatever. And we see Wally and Joe, they're at a little dinner, because Joe, by the way, is a correspondent. He's been doing the corresponding for all of the launches since he's retired. And they're at a restaurant in New York, and someone gives him a call and is like, uh-oh, something's wrong. Get back to the studio. And he kind of feels really bad, and we see a moment with him and Joe where he's like, I need to be there, you know, like helping my brothers. She's like, no, you're here for the people.
You're a hero. They need reassurance.
Yeah. So Wally's going to reassure everyone.
Jolly Wally.
Jolly Wally. And what goes wrong on Apollo 13 is that like a lithium tank something happens, a reactor, some crazy stuff happens. Yeah. And they have to get into, there was an explosion.
They have to connect.
There was an explosion on Apollo 13. That's what it was. And they are having to like do this maneuver to slingshot back to the Earth. And they're all stuck in a lunar capsule called Aquarius. This thing is really, really tiny. It's only meant to fit 2 men. So there are 3 astronauts in there. And they have to connect.
Kind of like my apartment.
Yeah. They have to connect a square lithium canister into a round pocket in order to get the CO2 levels to go down. Otherwise, they're all going to suffocate. So everyone at Mission Control is freaking out. What are they going to do? Obviously, they don't want their astronauts to suffocate. And they say they have to use kind of just anything on the rocket, whatever, or that's in the capsule anyway, in order to do it. So they end up figuring it out, though.
Didn't the guy have his sock out and he was saying like rapid or something like
sure,
that?
It was Trudy. She was explaining it to one of the other women while they were watching.
Well, no. I mean, at Mission Control, it was one of the engineers. He pulled out his sock and he was like, well, maybe if they take a sock and they just...
Yeah.
That's some MacGyver shit right there.
And so some Mission Control guy figured this out. I mean, these are all people who work.
Mission Control guy. You go, Mission Control guy.
We remember you. Just kidding. But so Trudy at this time is kind of the support for all of the women because she knows so much about the rocket and everyone's kind of leaning on her. And we have to remember this is a huge thing when people were alive at this time. Like this is, well, okay, I don't mean when people were, I mean if you were alive at this time. It's so weird to talk about it now like casually.
How about if you were there?
I mean just like for anyone who was alive.
Who was there? Well, because when you say when you were alive at that time, it makes it sound like everybody at the time is now dead. Like, no?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, so if you were watching that was a huge deal. That's like it's something like, I mean, it's not as big as 9/11, of course, but it's something like that where it's like,
yeah, it is.
So it's weird to kind of talk about it like nonchalantly now, but everything ended up being great.
If you were alive for 9/11. I
can't think of the correct wordage for that, but I'll think of it. Everything ended up great. They made it back to Earth, and everything was fine and dandy. And that was kind of it for the episode until we get into the kind of what happened to them after, which was definitely my favorite part. We learned that Reen and Scott did indeed divorce, but Reen got her own nationally syndicated show where she got to talk about whatever the heck she wanted. So good for you, Reen. I'm disappointed, but okay.
I mean, at least you got a career out of it.
Oh my gosh. Trudy and Gordo, too, got divorced.
Kind of saw that coming.
I had such hope for them at one point in the season because he seemed to really love her, but I think he just, something just happened in his mind, and I don't know. Before we get to the rest of them, I loved the moment with Louise and Trudy at the end where the Ice Queen officially broke
Melted.
down.
Finally, my prediction came true.
She melted into a puddle of tears and tells Trudy, I don't want you to go, or I don't want you to get divorced because I'll miss you. I want you to stay here. And Trudy's like, you're so amazing now, and I love you, and we'll be friends forever.
Friends forever.
Yeah. And
Best friends forever.
We see them later all watching a launch together because Alan does finally make it into space.
You go, boy.
He's on Apollo 14, so our boy Alan made it on the moon, which was his goal the entire time. So very happy for him. And lives are great with Louise and Alan. It says they stayed together until they died.
Weeks apart.
Yeah, weeks apart, which is...
It's very romantic.
It's very sad, but it's very sweet at the same time.
I can't live without you.
I know.
It's time for me to die, too.
Alan and Louise forever. But all the women are watching at Louise's house, so that was a sweet moment.
Relationship goals.
Right? Alan and Louise Shepherd. Marge and Deke... All is good. Marge kind of stays on
Power
forever
couple.
And is like they call her
Mother Marge,
and stays on and kind of mentors all the rest of the astronaut lives. Our Deke eventually gets medical clearance again and goes into space. He's the oldest man to go into space at the time. Yeah,
if you were alive,
which is really cool. So go Deke, that's awesome. Who am I missing? Oh, Betty does indeed sue North American. She didn't sue NASA. She sues North American because
she settled out of court.
Yeah, she just wanted them to take some responsibility, and she got settlements for her and the two other
you go, girl.
Astro widows. They called them. You go, Betty, go. Joe and Wally, they're doing their thing in New York. He has his career. Good for them. And I think that's all of our astronaut wives, right?
I think so.
Oh my gosh, that's so sad.
That's so sad.
And at the end, they also, it's a scene with just all of the women, and I guess Trudy's kind of flying off because her and Gordo did get divorced, but she did create a very successful business for herself. So all of the women are seeing her off, and kind of, Joe comes back, and they all join together and say, like, this is what cute. Matters. So
and she showed up at the last minute.
Yeah.
A little taxi cab. It was very
and we had to remember that a lot of this is based on true stories. So I hope something like that really happened. So, yeah, that was kind of it for the episode. What are your thoughts about the season? What'd you think?
I love it. It was great.
I know.
It took me through the motions. Although they tried to disprove my prediction.
What?
Okay, so if you guys have been watching, I've made several predictions about I've made the same prediction several times. And here, it's come true.
What?
I brought us a little something, guys.
What? Oh, gosh.
I brought us cheese. I told you guys, I saw cheese coming. I got it straight from the moon. Thank you.
Well, we definitely have to eat cheese.
So this is moon cheese, guys.
This is actual...
moon
look, it
cheese.
says it on the package. Moon cheese.
That's right.
From the moon.
When you're right, you're right. All right. Nobody
mean,
can tell you different.
I'm about to eat this.
Just go.
I've never had moon cheese before.
Go for it.
Actually, no, we'll save it after for our own celebration. No, I loved the show too. I'm actually sad it's just one season, but I hope we get more good period pieces like this because I enjoyed it. But I especially enjoyed having you on the panel with me.
Oh, I enjoyed you.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
It's so sad. Well, where can everyone find you on Twitter, Instagram for your next shows?
Well, guys, I am currently on VH1's She's Got Game. I didn't know which camera I was on. VH1's She's Got Game. Every Monday night, so you can check me on that. And you can also link up with me on Twitter and Instagram at Khalil Boo Boo.
I'm coming up on The Mistresses next, actually, right after this. And I'll be on The Affair and The Mindy Project this fall, so I hope to see y'all there.
The Mindy Project. I was on The Mindy Project.
You were?
I was in an episode.
Cool.
No bullshit. I was an extra, though.
I gotta watch it. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at April Wissenhand. You can find all of us at AfterBuzz TV, of course. And we hope to see you soon. Hope you enjoyed.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz
you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.